food or Disney World food videos, and I have two little boys that I'm trying to raise, and I take them to Disney World as often as I can, and I started following him. Well, then he also comes to Vegas and follows me for my food content, and it just, you kind of wake up one day and you have all these friends that you don't even know. You know, when I messaged Andrew this morning about coming on this live feed on your behalf, I said, look, I know that you don't officially know me, but I feel like I know you because I've been watching you for years and I've been there since the rocks. And here he is. And that's the part, you know, yes, we all make money and we're this is part of our economic landscape, but this is so personal too. And I just don't want to lose it.
You just said something about him making Disney food videos. I think it's Jacob's Food Diaries is currently on like day 21 of making food that looks like Disney characters. I am not a Disney TikToker at all. I saw one of those videos and they have an absolute chokehold on me. My daughter is in there trying to recreate Disney characters in my kitchen with puff pastry 3 days this week. She's making Mama Coco. That is happening. And like, I am not somebody who's like, oh, I follow a lot of Disney. I have like I have like a secret, my real world account, and not my like professional account. And in there, I've had one video over 1 million views and it was like a Disney video. So I don't know why I'm saying I don't follow Disney accounts, but like those.
Sounds like you are a pretty good like Disney creator at this point if you're making viral Disney videos.
Like I posted one video of a boy with Down syndrome trying to hug Kylo Ren when I was there.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it was like a 20-second clip and it was like millions of views because Kylo Ren couldn't keep it together. And he like wanted to hug him back and it was great. But like, I don't make Disney content. I don't follow Disney content. Those videos have me in an absolute, like, I can't stop watching them. They are amazing.
Being introduced to like new things and new hobbies and new ideas is definitely one of the best parts of this app. Maybe with like A Court of Thorns and Roses, you know, maybe it's like for better or worse a little bit. And those books are okay. But you know, like, before I got on TikTok, I didn't have a skincare routine. Now I've got a skincare routine because I just see videos of like, here's all the things you need. And it turns out it's pretty easy and it's a lot of fun. And there's like, you know, there was the guy who'd had the hair, who was losing his hair and he was trying all of these different things. Zeph, I think that might be his name. And it was just like, it was so fun to watch him go on this journey and try all these different things. You're like, you know, maybe this is something I would try out too. And it's just as far as like coming into different hobbies, I never would have read a book about fairies, you know, if it hadn't been for Book Talk. And I think that that's true for a lot of us. And so it's not just the creators and it's the people who use TikTok. It's tangential. It kind of affects the wider economy in the United States and all over the world. All of these different things and the way that the pieces go together. And these are all things that we will lose if we lose TikTok. You know, it would be such a shame.
I'm going to do my hostly duties. I'm going to make myself bigger. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to make myself bigger for a second. And I'm going to remind everybody that a lot of you are just joining. Some have just jumped over to go back to X because I can see X going off a little bit right now. For those of you that don't know, this is the first day of our 3-day Save TikTok-a-thon. And we are working to fight to make sure that we stay at the forefront of Donald Trump's decision making so that he moves to save TikTok on day 1 in office. Now, there are a lot of things we haven't talked about in a minute. And Justin, I'm going to get you an introduction, and Anna, you too, in just a moment. I just want to keep bringing it back to what we're here to do. So, you guys might know me. I don't have millions of followers. I think I have like 250,000 followers. But I have followers because I led the protests in DC, in front of the Supreme Court. This week I covered the TikTok ban, and I do a lot of legal commentary on all kinds of legal issues. So I'm on here a lot. I host panels of presidential candidates and politicians, and I put them in the hot seat and let you guys ask them hard questions. But saving TikTok is the only platform where, one, I can put 8 people in a box. There is not a single other platform that will let me do a panel like this. And let me tell you, my presidential town halls this summer had 500,000 live viewers. And we had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sitting in this seat. We had 500,000 people dial in because they could not believe that we could question a presidential candidate and any creator could come over here with questions from all of their followers and just lob them at him. No prep. But as an American population, we used to require and expect that of our politicians. And that's how we created accountability. And I wanted to bring that back. There was no other platform that gave me the functionality to do that. And so we had 500,000 people dialing in to watch people like Jen, who joined my live streams and asked hard questions about small businesses, right? And how they were going to be protected in an administration. We had creators come into these boxes and ask questions of politicians to create accountability. We don't have a politician in this box today, but we are using this platform to create accountability. Now, for those of you that don't know, right now, and this may be repetitive for any of you that are here from the beginning, we have very few paths to save TikTok right now. But I believe we have a better than even odds that we are going to save it. I have been lucky enough to have access to the TikTok legal updates. I have met with their legal team repeatedly. And right now, based on what we know, there are a few things that can happen. But all of them, with the exception of one, require the help of Donald J. Trump. President Trump is going to have to act. So, for starters, the Supreme Court has the case before them. I believe we will get a ruling on Wednesday or Friday. I personally think the longer we have to wait for a ruling, the better. Because if there was a flat no, they would have issued a short ruling this morning. Now, Andrew's an attorney, so he and I might have some differing opinions on this. SCOTUS blog is my favorite live creator on the app. My husband's a federal attorney. I was at the arguments, and despite what all of the mainstream media would have you believe, this was not a case where they gave clear signals they were going to uphold this ban. In fact, the case heard on Friday was not to uphold the ban. Okay? The case heard on Friday was a pretrial review to decide whether or not they were going to issue an injunction, that is, an order stopping the implementation of the ban on the 19th. It was not the final hearing. There were a lot of novel legal concepts that were discussed and a lot of novel things that the Supreme Court rarely see that took place that day. There are a few things we know. They asked more than 250 questions. That is not a court that has made up their mind. Okay, we want to start there. Some of the questions showed they didn't know what they were talking about. And some of the questions from justices like Amy Coney Barrett were pretty technologically savvy. But there were also very promising questions from Kagan and Alito that were very focused on the government. And there was a point where Kagan said, you've already given it away. This is all content-based. And Alito said that means strict scrutiny. I'll get into that later. But it showed there were clear signals from at least some of the justices that they were considering it. I don't know if we met all of the hurdles to get that injunction. However, there was a second promising possibility that arose when they were talking about the amicus brief. That is a friend of the court brief that was submitted by President Donald Trump. He had his personal attorneys file a very short brief. It was only 2 pages long, I think. And in it, he made a small legal argument that basically said that this law was tying his hands under Article 2. And it was, while the legislature can make laws, they can't tell the executive how to implement foreign policy. So it was a small legal argument that was around the implementation of foreign policy. But really, at the heart of his argument, it was something called judicial economy. And he said, if you just grant a stay, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to save TikTok, and you won't have to rule on the rest of this case. So please just issue the stay in the interest of judicial economy, and I'll take care of it. He said he had a plan. He said he intended to see it through. Now, there are like 4 things the Supreme Court can choose to do. The first is they can say, you lose. We're not finding on behalf of you, and the law can go into effect. They can say that. They could have said that pretty easily this morning if they wanted to issue a quick decision. The longer it takes, I think, the better the odds. Their normal posting days are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10, I think it's 11 a.m. in the off session and 10 a.m. in the regular session. So I was glad when we saw today that they didn't post. A lot of you are nervous, and I understand that, but I think it's good. The second thing they can do is they can issue the injunction. I don't know what Andrew feels. I think we're about 45, 55 against the injunction. I don't think we got over the likelihood of success hurdle. However, there was a moment of questioning at the end of the case where the TikTok lawyers brought up 6 or 7 cases where they had issued injunctions without likelihood of success just because they needed more time, and so they couldn't form a complete opinion on the likelihood of success. So that's not saying they can't do it, okay? The third thing that came up was when I think it was Alito and Sotomayor both mentioned that we could issue an administrative stay as requested by President Trump. And Elizabeth, the Solicitor General, who I like to keep reminding you, took several very high-profile cases from Meta and Twitter that directly paid her millions of dollars as their attorney before she took this job. I love to bring that up. They looked at her and said, can we issue the administrative stay? Is there anything in the law that prevents that? And she kind of went, you could, but we don't want you to. And it was very clear that she knew that they could do that. They had a discussion about it. There were enough signals from Gorsuch, Kagan, Ketanji Brown Jackson's early questions were not good, but the later ones were better. I think there's an alliance that could be formed in favor of the administrative stay. And I think we might be even as high as 65-35 in favor of an administrative stay to let Donald Trump do it without having to go dark. The fourth thing they could do is strike down the ban, even though this wasn't the hearing for that. The reason they're allowed to do that is because we haven't had a case on this expedited of a docket on a First Amendment issue in a really long time. And none of these justices were involved in any of the last ones where it happened. And so they can kind of do whatever they want if they can find the reasoning to get away with it. So they could do it. It's not really likely that they would do that, I don't think, although I'm very hopeful. If they do that, Trump doesn't have to do anything. I don't know, Andrew, if you have any odds on that. I think they're probably 15 or less. You think? I think it's about 15% or less.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So if you read all the mainstream media headlines who use my face to try to tell everybody on earth that TikTok is doomed, I don't agree with that. I actually think we have very good odds right now of an administrative stay at a minimum. And I'm also going to just say they gave Trump a loss on his sentencing hearing, so I don't think they're anxious to give him a second one in 1 week. I'm just going to say that. Especially one that doesn't hurt them, because there's another alternative where they could say, we're going to issue the administrative stay because we don't have enough time to decide this, and they could punt it back to the lower court for more clarification. The reason they might do that is there was one novel issue that came up in the middle of it where there were all of these discrepancies of fact. Normally when a case gets to the Supreme Court, all of the factual determinations are long since passed, and they're just deciding on constitutionality. But here, there were significant discrepancies of fact, and both parties had not had a determination of fact on several issues. So they could punt it back to a lower court just to buy themselves some time and Trump some time. That's also possible. Is there anything you think I missed, Andrew, on that?
That sounds like a pretty thorough, accounting of what the possibilities are.
Okay, so in all of those circumstances, unless they say the law can go into effect, well, even if they say that, unless they strike the law down, which, as I just said, I think is less than 15%, every other circumstance has one of two outcomes. Either we keep coming back here every 3 months, seeking another extension or another stay, or waiting for another court to rule, or Donald Trump rules that they've sufficiently divested and we don't have to do this anymore. Those are the only two options we have. Okay, that's it. Now, a lot of people are bringing up that Senator Murkey introduced a piece of legislation today to stay the enforcement of the TikTok ban for another 270 days. I think he's well-intended. I think he's going to get a lot of press for it. I also don't think it's going to go anywhere. I hope it does. But even that circumstance only kicks the can down the road another 9 months, and we're doing this all over again. The best course of action, the most clear, concise, and finite finishing course of action is for Donald Trump to do what he has promised to do and to deem the company sufficiently divested. There is no rule on how he has to do that. And so he can do it on day one, well, probably day two, because he needs at least one interagency cabinet member to agree with him. On those early days, they'll agree with him a lot. So that's what we need. And that's what we're doing here. For those of you that have just joined, we are calling on people every 30 minutes, which we just passed into the 30-minute mark, to go up to the link in my bio if you need to find it, or to go to X, to tag Donald J. Trump and say, President Trump, this is what TikTok means to me. And I'm asking you to let us know you're going to save TikTok. We want to use Save TikTok. Now, don't use a bunch of hashtags because X doesn't favor hashtags. But right now, Save TikTok is the number 2 and 3 trending topic on X. So what we're doing is working. There have been thousands of tweets today. You guys are doing the work. For any of you that are in here and you've got to bounce out, go make your video telling all of your followers to do this. Because it doesn't matter how you feel about Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if you wanted him to win and needed him to win with everything you have. It doesn't matter if you hated him and you never want to see him on this account or anywhere else again, because we cannot save TikTok, with one very small exception, without him. He is going to be the president. This is the hand we are dealt. And right now, he is the only option we really have. Save that one finite exception. So that's what we're calling on you guys to do. It's time to do it.
Can I add something? So I've already posted on X. I only have like 62,000 there. So it's not a big account for me by any stretch of the imagination. But the bots are fierce and unrelenting. Engaging with them boosts the content and the algorithm. So it's actually beneficial to go back and forth with them, even though they're very obviously like botted accounts. As I explained to Tiffany when I met her on Capitol Hill to protest the first time this came up, I'm not a political account. I don't bring politics into it because my focus is to boost the small business economy of Las Vegas, which I do successfully. And in order to do that, I can't alienate my base or polarize myself. With that being said, the idea that all of our eggs rest in the basket of the most unreliable loose cannon in the history of anything to ever happen anywhere is terrifying. And I'm just trusting Tiffany in this process because I don't have any faith that this man is going to do what he says he's going to do, only because that's kind of the whole platform that he's run on. Is he's all over the place. I do think that appealing to his ego and giving him kind of the save us thing is potentially beneficial for us. But I would like to know, Tiffany, what do you think he's going to do? Because I feel like we're going to end up with like Don Trump Jr. and Elonia running TikTok, and that's not great either.
That can't happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
So first of all, I'm going to say that this is a really good example of like the very different perspectives we have in here, because we also have huge Trump political accounts that are helping us tonight with Save TikTok. And I was somebody that interviewed Trump as one of the candidates I interviewed this year. I interviewed Bobby Kennedy. I interviewed Jasmine Sherman and Jill Stein, right? It shows how powerful TikTok is that we all want to save it together. I can tell you that if we wanted to appeal to his ego, if you are somebody that desperately wanted Trump to win, you should want to reach out to Donald Trump to show everybody he keeps his promises, okay? And if you are somebody that can't stomach the fact that Donald Trump won and you fought hard to make sure that didn't happen, you should want to be messaging Donald Trump to create the accountability for the promises he made. Because that's where we're at now. He's going to be president. I will say this. He said he was going to say it. He did it nonchalantly at first. He did it more significantly when he started making videos with creators. But he more than put his money where his mouth was when he hired his personal attorneys and sent them to the Supreme Court to say, I'm going to fix it. That was a level of accountability he created for himself I wasn't expecting, if I'm being frank. Okay, the other thing I'm going to say, for those of you that are like, we need to pander to his ego, it's probably a good idea. There's a reason King Charles is bringing him back for a second state dinner when no head of state has had one in more than 150 years. Okay, there's a reason. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a new monarch. Okay? What I am going to say is that if you think there is a single bone in Donald Trump's body that wants to resist the urge to save 170 million young Americans from a decision that was made by Joe Biden, then you're not looking at the same president I am. And I feel very confident that he also doesn't want to suffer the repercussions of the economic implications of this loss when he has the ability to save it. And I also trust that Barron is strong in his ear right now. I'm not saying this is going to work, but I am telling you it's the only thing that can work. So I don't know what any of you have to lose. Well, I know what we have to lose, but I do know what we can gain. And that's why we're doing this. And I have to believe if he spent his own money and sent his own lawyers to the Supreme Court, it's because he has some kind of a plan and he intends to do it. I also know that Bobby Kennedy, when I interviewed him recently, just I think a month ago, I asked him if Trump intended to save TikTok on the record, and he said yes. So we know, and Bobby also advocates for saving TikTok. He wanted to sue on TikTok's behalf. So he has the interagency requirement met already in the law. He has to have an interagency process. Any agency, it doesn't specify. He has to have an interagency process. That could literally be an email. It is not defined. So he has at least one cabinet member that wants to save TikTok, so he has what he needs if Bobby gets confirmed. Okay? And all the cabinet members are going to do what he wants for a little while anyway. So for me,
Tiffany, if I could just hop in here for a second, and then I'll have to hop off the call. But I want to say I am a political account. I've said very clearly how I feel about Donald Trump as our president. But the truth is, he is our next president. He's been elected a president, and that means he's a public servant. And because he's a public servant, we're his boss. That means he is our employee. We're his boss. We voted for him to do something. And so I think that even if you hate the guy with every fiber of your being, like I do, there is nothing weird about saying, as your boss, this is what I want you to do. You're my employee, I am your boss. This is what I want you to do. And what I want you to do is save TikTok. What I want you to do is not enforce the ban if it comes down to it, or find that there's been sufficient divestiture. That's what I want you to do as your boss. I mean, he's your president. Every American, he's your president, and that means you're his boss. And there's nothing weird about saying, this is what I want you to do.
thank you so much. And thank you for piggybacking on it, because I can get tunnel vision when I'm talking, and I constantly need you guys to keep me covering all my bases. We do have some new accounts in, and I want to bring them up. I believe first I brought in Justin, then Anna, and then Joseph. So I'm going to bring Justin into the big box to introduce himself for all of our true crime fans. We have Justin coming up right now. And Gabby Petito's parents said they like to call it real crime. And I think that's absolutely accurate. So Justin, please come into the big box and tell us what brought you to TikTok, why it's important to you to save it, and what it means for your community to be here.
Yeah, and I appreciate you inviting me up for this too. So I do real crime, current events, but that's not how my account started. I'm not going to say that we came here during the pandemic, because my wife and I actually got here slightly before the pandemic. My daughter was born in 2019 at 29 weeks and 3 days. We spent 43 days in the NICU, and my job that I had at the time was medical sales. And I was traveling a lot. So when she was born, after the NICU stay, we were basically, having to stay in most of the time because she didn't have an immune system, like at all. She didn't get that push that she normally would have had. So my boss was very understanding about that, and I kind of had stopped traveling, and then cold flu RSV season hit, and we couldn't go anywhere. And so basically my wife found the app first, and she kept it kind of secret for about a week and wouldn't tell me about it, because she's like, if I give this to Justin, he's going to be addicted, which she was right. And anyway, so while we were dealing with having a preemie at home, not being able to see family and friends, and then COVID hitting and going through all of that and having to take the pandemic probably more seriously than almost anybody else, because it was our child's life at stake. At the same time that was going on, I had recently gone no contact with my own mother. And if I go into that story, we'll be here an hour. So I'm just going to say that it was decades in the making. And so I was going through that loss at the same time. And my wife says, why don't you just make a video? Maybe it'll help be a little cathartic for you. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I didn't expect anything from it. And I made a video and went to bed. And I woke up with 45,000 followers. And then kind of kept doing it from then on out until Gabby Petito went missing. And again, my wife is watching that unfold, and she says, sit down and watch this footage. And it was when the Moab footage came out in Utah. And I was like, oh my gosh, Brian Laundrie is the same mannerisms, the way he speaks, the way he gaslights. It's just like my mom. This correlates with my content. And then somehow it has been true crime and current events since then, and to the total of 1.6 million followers. And this app, not only did it allow me to stay home with my kid after the pandemic and everything like that, because I worked medical sales, my call points were nursing homes. So during the pandemic, as I'm sure you can appreciate, we could not go anywhere near those. So there was downsizing, eventually layoffs, a couple other jobs, And then on the last layoff, which was last January, I just like, I'm going to go. I had enough followers. I was like, I think I can go full time on this. So we did that. And then on top of that, because of the following, because of everything, I've written 3 children's books, one called Boundaries, which helps parents explain to their kids why they're no contact or limited contact with a family member, teaching them about conditional relationships, teaching them how to set boundaries within a family. And I wrote that because I found out that book didn't exist at all. And then because of the true crime side of things, I wrote one to help keep kids safe called Surprise Okay, Secrets or Not. And then I had another one that came out that's more about sharing and cultural diversity. And I wouldn't have had these opportunities if it wasn't for my community and for this app, the ability to stop traveling and be home. My daughter's now 5 and be home with her through these formative years. That's absolutely priceless to me. And then you couple that with people like, so Dan, Missing in USA, and I are friends, and you look at what he does, and then, the Gabby's family, the Schmitz are they've become very good friends. And what we've kind of done with this is we brought awareness to cases that wouldn't have otherwise had awareness. We like they said earlier, people of color don't get the attention. We've been able to kind of make a dent in that. Missing and murdered Indigenous women don't get attention. We've been able to, put a dent in that as well. If you have people who have a loved one or family member missing and the police aren't really doing anything, they can reach out to you as a larger platform and say, hey, I need help. I need a voice. And you can like, let me lend you my platform. And give these people the ability. And, like Dan said, all the people that he finds and brings home, it's amazing. What his account alone makes this entire app worth it, honestly. And then also, as far as facts go, so my account, one thing that's really important to me is making sure that we keep a high level of integrity. We do facts, we do things that are verified. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect. I'm human, right? I make mistakes. But when we make mistakes, we correct those and we move on. And so people can come to my account and know that, hey, they're getting what's factual truth and staying up to date and knowing that, knowing what's going on and getting news faster, getting communication to media faster than any type of mainstream could do it. And then here's something I'll tell you from working with this and working with various, documentaries and news stations, things like that. There are cases, there are news stories that mainstream media will not touch, will not cover. If it's an essay case about a kid or, the whole unaliving, self-unaliving situations, the media doesn't like to cover that, but you can find information here. When you have like a mass shooting event, you can find, the areas where people can come together. I forget, I'm blanking on the word for right now, but like where they can kind of come together, reunite. And we can get that information out faster. I've had people come to me and say, oh my gosh, I live in this town. I didn't even know this happened. And this was at my kid's school. And we get it out faster. And so those are the kind of things that this app allows us to do. Right. And then like Nikki and Jim kind of said, social media found their daughter. Social media kept her name and her face on the forefront of everything. When there's missing people, this is something that we're able to do and get them more exposure than 1 or 2, 5-minute clips on the evening news, locally. So that's why this app is important. That's why I feel like my account counts like mine, counts like Dan. There's Abby Blabby in here, counts like hers, and just so many others. That are crucial for information that people wouldn't get otherwise. And, we also talk about things to help, the safety of kids is obviously very important. One thing I learned from another creator who I became mutuals with is, I won't get into the details of it, but it's why I won't show my daughter at all on social media. And I learned that I wouldn't have known that otherwise. And maybe I don't want to know what I know, but I'd rather have that information to keep her safe. And at the same time, we can share stories that would have at one point in time only been in the area that it was. If you had a story in Oregon or Washington, then if you lived in that area, maybe you heard about it. But now we can let it, everybody know everywhere about it, and it spread quickly. And that gives people information, that gives parents information, things that they wouldn't have had. So, there's just so much that this does. And then for me, like I said, for me personally, it's given me the opportunity to write books. This is my job. If TikTok goes away, I am out of work. That's basically how it is. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to have built the community and been able to do this full time. But at the same time, if this app goes away, and I don't think that, I don't know if our Congress isn't thinking about it or they just don't care, but there's 7 million small businesses on TikTok. That's not including the creators. That's not including the employees at TikTok. You're talking about millions upon millions of people. The blow to the economy, the blow to the housing market. And like I think you said a second ago, that's not something he's going to want under his presidency. At least I'm hoping not. The challenge is, though, is that we won't fit in the numbers, though, right? The unemployment numbers, because we work for ourselves, if you do this full time, we're not going to fit in that. And that's where it kind of becomes a little bit challenging. And without going too far down that tangent on it, but the bottom line is that this app is so informative. It's an escape for people when they just need an escape from reality to just mindlessly do something. You can learn so much. What used to be a 30-minute video you'd have to watch on YouTube could be a minute and 30-second clip on here. And you can learn everything that you need to know. We recently went to New York, and my wife was all over New York TikTok, and everything that we did came from this app, pretty much. So it's invaluable.
Thank you so much. Like, I get too emotional with a lot of the real crime content, but for so many of the cases, we haven't been able to look away, and it doesn't matter what part of TikTok you're on. Like, my account is not focused on that. And if you go to my reposts, you're going to see dozens of reposts of Amber Alerts and missing family members, because you can't look away. And we're the kind of community here, in my opinion, I feel like Meta's kind of a dark place. You go there, the comments are not helpful. Everybody's really combative. We are a community that shows up, even if it's not your content, even if it's not the right thing for you, even if it's not the content you usually associate with. When it's really important and it's really on the line, we're a community that shows up. That's what we're trying to do here, right?
I agree.
And I'm so grateful for the content you make. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And with Meta, to kind of piggyback off of that, nobody makes original reels. They make TikTok videos.
Yep.
And they put those on reels.
Yep.
And the thing about Zuckerberg, like, nobody, it's funny, you can say things negative about Elon Musk and he'll have a bunch of fanboys out there, on his side. You can say whatever you want about Zuckerberg. There's nobody coming to that guy's aid. Nobody likes him. And the thing about it is, if the algorithm is what makes us app. People are saying, TikTok, I would rather have TikTok without this algorithm than no TikTok at all. But the algorithm is what makes this app. And if Meta or X, which X is a very different platform, but if Meta could come close to this, they would have done it already. He can't figure out how to make it. That's the bottom line on it. And going back to what you said too, as it being a dark place, he's also rolled back the hateful content guidelines.
Yeah.
So you can now say slurs. You can call women property. You can use words that we used back in the 90s to describe our friends if you thought they were slow. And you can now use those and you don't get a community violation anymore. He rolled all that back. And I think that all that's going to do is breed hate. It's going to breed all the people who want to be out there, who want to be misogynistic, racist, homophobic, and it's going to give them a platform where they feel empowered, and no good can come of that.
I think he's going to try to emulate what other apps are doing. I don't think he actually knows what he's going to do. I think he's just pandering right now, but I agree with you.
I do too.
I think there's a lot of pandering and a lot of kissing the ring going on right now that's kind of vulgar, in my opinion, across the board. But I just feel like this is a community that we've chosen and we should be entitled. And I want to be clear, several of the justices latched onto this exact argument and said that we have a long and storied history. I think it was Kagan, actually, who said we had a long and storied history of being allowed to get information from the place we choose. It's not just that we have the right to speech. The First Amendment doesn't just say we have a right to speech. It says we have a right to receive speech from the places we want as well. There was a long line of questioning. I do think it was Kagan or Sotomayor, who said, back in the 50s, a whole bunch of people, there was a Red Scare and a Cold War, and the Communist Party of America, ACLU and other places, went to court to say they could make their pamphlets. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if we said they had to divest from the Communist Party of the Soviet Union before they could issue a pamphlet in America? And even the government said, no, I don't think we could have done that, Your Honor. And it was Kagan.
Well, let's talk about that because you're talking about FARA, right? The Foreign Agent Registrations Act.
No, I'm not. We're
No?
talking about the forced divestment.
The
And
Portugal-
so it was Sotomayor saying that she was talking about Amy Coney Barrett described it as a right to associate, and that could lead down that path. But Kagan was just saying, could you stop somebody from speaking just because you didn't like an affiliation the printer of that pamphlet came from? They're like, no, we couldn't do that. The government was very clear. She goes, then I think you've given away your case already, because these guys have a right to speak, and they're choosing to do it here is essentially where it was going. And I think that was actually one of the most hopeful lines of questioning we have in our corner. I think it was Kagan, but it might have been Sotomayor. I have notes on it, but I didn't bring them over here. But I think there's a chance that ends up being a pretty important thing, a pretty important element in whatever the ultimate ruling could be, because we don't just have a right to say what we want. We also have a right to get it from the community we choose. And this is the community we've chosen.
There isn't another community like it either. Like, no matter how Reels wants to try to do it, because Reels would be the next, I guess, closest. No matter how they want to do it, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be this. I mean, even trying to record a video in Reels, even trying to respond to a comment in Reels is miserable to try to do, especially if you make a mistake and have to start it all over. So, and I agree with you as far as Zuckerberg kissing the ring, because, Elon has cozied up to Trump, and I feel like Zuckerberg's like, I want to be part of the cool kids too, kind of a thing. And so he's just kind of tagging along. And I feel like that
also looks like Dave Portnoy now, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. He's
so weird.
he's
No,
whatever.
I'm right. Like, he does look an awful lot like Dave Portnoy all of a sudden. I apologize. I have to get Anna up to introduce her.
No, you're
Don't
fine.
go anywhere, because I want this to continue. And then
Okay.
we're going to go to Joseph, and then we're going to go to Tara Lynn. Not Tara. That was a private joke between us. Sorry, guys. Hi, Anna.
Hey.
Welcome into the box. Please tell us what brought you to TikTok. You're on another social media platform pretty extensively. Why TikTok is different, why it's unique, and why we should be fighting to save it.
So I have actually started 2 businesses now on TikTok. So I started out, I always say I tripped and fell into photography. I had a bad experience with a photographer, and it made me research a ton and just start my own photography business. And within a year, I was able to go full time, which is just insane. So that was not anything to do with Meta platforms at all. Anytime you try to promote your business on those platforms, they always show your post to 0 people and tell you to pay for ads. Where this platform, you can promote your business for free. So I did my photography for about 4 years and realized actually this isn't what I wanted to do with my life. I went to school for market research, and I also tripped and fell into politics. So I'm basically a political commentator, researcher, journalist, whatever you want to call me at this point. And just this past year, I started this account, and it's been going so well. I also have an X account. I always say I'm on X for the free speech, but there is a lot of hate speech on that platform, but that is usually where news originates, and then it makes its way over to TikTok very shortly after. So I like both. I make my videos on here and then send it to other platforms. If TikTok goes away, I don't even know how I'm going to record my videos because this is all I know. And it's so funny because everything I do is fact-based, and I love the green screen feature. So I'm always like, look at this fact, look at this number, look at this. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do if TikTok's gone. So that's going to be a big thing. So that's like my professional side of things. Or one more thing real quick on that. Since I am basically like a journalist right now, because of the TikTok Creator Fund, where I can get paid just off of views, I don't have to hound people for money. If you were to go on any other platform, you have to like survive off of subscriptions or brand deals and stuff like that. where my content can be fully free and out there for anyone because of the creator fund. Like X pays a little bit, but nothing crazy. Like my water bill. Okay. So this platform, I can actually, like, everyone can have access to my content because I do talk about politics, and I want politics to be something that we can all talk about openly. And it doesn't need to be safeguarded behind a paywall. So that's why we need TikTok. Also, personally, Tiffany, I had no idea at the very beginning you talked about your voice. Yeah. I had no idea. You said that someone messaged you that they heard, if anyone like is new in the chat right now that didn't hear at the beginning, but go ahead and just say it real quick.
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago, I kept losing my voice after a really cold Halloween. It was like 20 degrees outside. And I was out for like 5 hours with my kids, yelling for kids up and down the block. So I lost my voice, but it stayed gone for like 7 weeks. And I went to doctors and they were like, oh, it's allergies, because I'm hyper allergic to soy. And it's in everything. They're like, you're having allergies. It was a year they planted soy fields near my house, and that's what they told me. But it kept happening over and over again. I kept losing my voice. And at the same time, I started getting this message on TikTok repeatedly. I've actually gotten it from 2 more people since then. But this woman kept messaging me and she kept saying, I need to talk to you about a health issue. I need to talk to you about a health issue. And I thought it was a scam. It was in my requests. I get thousands of requests and I ignored it for so long. And then I was doing a live stream at, I think, the Independent National Convention maybe. And she messaged me. She started going in the chat. She was like, you keep ignoring my messages. I'm a speech pathologist. Your doctors are wrong. You need to see an otolaryngologist. I can hear something in your voice box. And it really scared me because it was like the 4th time. I had started getting all these compliments about my sexy, raspy voice. People kept telling me I sounded like an 80s sitcom person and like they wish they had a voice like mine. I was getting all these compliments and I was like, this is not a thing that I am super proud of. It's really horrifying. And this woman convinced me to go to an otolaryngologist. And after 3 misdiagnoses telling me I was just having allergies, turned out I have a tumor in my vocal cords. And if I ignored it, it could have gone on for years and I wouldn't have found out.
And that was pretty recent.
Yeah.
The INC, that was like just a few months ago, I feel like. That is crazy. So I hope it's not too TMI, but I don't really care. So when I got on birth control, within 6 months, I gained 50 pounds. And I go to my doctor and they said, you're just eating too much. And I had actually gone on a very strict diet at the time. They're like, birth control doesn't make you gain weight. Like, okay, like I know my body and I'm 5'2", so 50 pounds is a lot, okay, for me. And so literally I carried the weight 4 years and TikTok actually got me into going to the gym. So I went to the gym almost every single day. And I was able to lift more than most men in the gym. I was that committed. But I didn't lose a single pound. So TikTok started teaching me about insulin resistance. And when someone is insulin resistant, you can't just tell them, oh, just stop like eating so much or just lose weight, because you can't. Like there's a very specific way you have to do it. And that the only way you can do that is to reduce carbs. So it doesn't matter if you cut your calories in half. If you have too many carbs, it's not going to do anything for you. So TikTok taught me all that. I was able to go to my doctor and say, this is what I have, I bet you, and ran some tests. And I had PCOS, which is insulin resistance. And then also, and she just told me, it happens, just if it's really painful, go to the ER to see if one is going to burst. And I'm like, okay, great. Not actually fixing the problem. So through TikTok, I was able to find 2 supplements that I take that have completely cured my PCOS at this point. And this past year, I was able to lose 40 pounds. So no credit to my doctor, no credit to other platforms. It's all from people on TikTok just sharing information. And it's completely natural. Like, yeah. So, and I've been inspired to garden, and actual gardening, not fake gardening, like TikTok people like to say. Yeah, and even recently, like I am getting interested in like ice skating. So I'm like 27 years old and I want to learn a new hobby. So it's just, there's so many ways it's impacted my life, and we need to save it, guys. So even if you go to X, because that's where all of our elected officials are, and TikTok is trending right now. So if you literally just go to X and say at Donald Trump, please save TikTok, that's all we need you to do. And it's going to keep it trending. And he is on social media all the time. Trump is on social media all the time. His team is. They all see it. All of our elected officials are. You know, so my supplements are berberine and inositol. Those are the supplements I take. But yeah, so X, like I said, is where all of our politicians are and
Mr.
everything.
Beast is commenting on our trend right now and says, fine, I'll buy it so it doesn't get banned. Mr. Beast, why don't you get in here in the chat, huh? You're late.
Yeah.
But he is commenting because we are trending right now. And he just wrote,
That's
fine. He's
awesome.
31 minutes ago. He put, fine, I'll buy it so it doesn't get banned.
That is so awesome. Can you just say it again? So you know that I've posted about you many times at this point, but just say like what the TikTok lawyers told you, because they keep saying that Elon's going to buy the platform.
So when this chat began, I got a bunch of messages sent to me saying, oh, Elon's going to buy it. Elon's going to buy it. First of all, Elon is over leveraged. So I'm just going to say that personally. But two, the FTC would stop him from buying it because he already owns a monopoly on one of them. So that also would not be allowed to happen. But I messaged them over and I'm like, what the hell? I'm in the middle of a live stream. I need to know. And they were like, that's as fake news as fake news gets. That is never going to happen. That is not
this is exactly, and I went to X and I said, this is exactly why we need TikTok, because X is going crazy spreading that misinformation.
right.
And we were able to combat that and say, nope, sorry guys, fake news. And I went to the original article and it said anonymous sources close to the situation, and that we didn't even get a comment from Elon or TikTok. They didn't actually meet with each other yet. And it's like, what? It's just crazy. So, but Tiffany, you are amazing. You are a warrior. And literally you messaged me yesterday and you said, what are you doing Monday? I'm like, I don't even care. If I even had plans, I don't care. I'm canceling them because Tiffany needs me. So you are great. Thank you so much for hosting this and bringing me up.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. All right, Joseph, I'm putting you in the hot seat. Time for you to go in the big box.
I'm here.
Welcome to the chat. Please come in. Tell everybody about your platform. But first, guys, before I do that, we just missed our 10 o'clock call to action. I want you guys to watch Joseph, but you also need to go to X right now. We've dropped from number 2 in trending to number 13. I don't think that's real because we are at 67,000 posts right now. And there's like things that are like 4th with like 6,000 posts. So I think it's just a timeliness issue. So we need to get back over to X. If you guys don't know how to tag Donald J. Trump in your post, he is the first link in my bio right now. And for those of you that are wondering, the team at TikTok also believe this is the best path forward. They would not be endorsing what we're doing or letting me send you off platform and allowing this to keep going. So just so you guys know, this is the only path we have right now. And so I need you guys to head over to X. I need you guys to pop out. You can keep listening to a live while you're tweeting on X. I don't know if you know that. And if you have 2 phones like me or 3 phones like me, then you also can do it on your phone. And you can do it on your desktop. Also like me. Don't let all of my tabs overwhelm any of you OCD friends.
Hey, I just want to say something real quick. Sorry, Joseph. Hi, nice to see you again, by the way.
How are you?
TikTok has just put out an official statement that the sale of the app to Elon is pure fiction, and it's trending as well. But World Star Hip Hop, who has an incredible reach, like 43 million, has picked up the story saying that Elon is in talks to buy it. And now it's spreading like crazy through all the Meta platforms. And I had some unintentional beef with 50 Cent. Just again, talking about the power of TikTok, I gave his concert a negative review based on my experience. 50 saw the review and went on a rant about it in the middle of his concert. And World Star Hip Hop like picked it up and was like, Vegas TikToker hates 50 Cent. And for like 4 days, it was the worst thing in the world. And then it went away and it's fine now. But for a World Star to pick that up and share it is grossly irresponsible. But this is going to be really hard to unring that bell, I guess is my point. So if you have the opportunity to share the story, it looks like Variety Magazine is the one sharing it right now, saying that TikTok has released a statement saying that this is pure fiction. So anyway, that's the latest on that.
Tiffany, I gotta jump out. I very much appreciate everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, guys.
We're crossing the 10 o'clock hour, so we have more creators joining in just a few minutes. Thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciated having you in. All right, Joseph, you're up. Tell us all about yourself.
Sorry, Joseph, I don't mean to- I'm gonna jump too real quick and I put my kid to bed real quick. If I can piggyback to your thing, and I'm so sorry, Joseph.
No,
Under the Desk News and Aaron Parnas are both saying, which those are incredibly reliable sources. Reach out to your senators, is what they're saying as well. So
I've talked to V about it today as well.
Okay.
They do want us to, but again, that's only for an extension
Yeah,
and
I
until
know.
again in 9 months.
baby steps. Well, I appreciate you having me. The next time, I'm happy to come back.
Thank you. All right, Joseph, you're up. Tell us about your platform. Tell us what brought you to TikTok. Tell us why it's the only place you want to be and why we should be fighting to save it.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, everybody else who's been on is so interesting. And I just feel like I'm a high school history teacher. And so, I started teaching in 2019. And that's when I got on the app too. Really just started off like, I had a bunch of kids in my classes saying like, you should get on TikTok, Mr. Hall, you should get on TikTok. And I was like, man, that thing with the really annoying ads that I see all the time, and didn't really want to do it. But then I talked to a buddy and he was like, you should really get on TikTok. And I was like, fine, I'll get on TikTok. And then I've just been doing it ever since. So I think it was November 2019. So just over 5 years ago, I started posting. And it's been life-changing for me and my family. It's been an amazing way to connect with my students. I would say that's probably been the coolest thing for me personally. To have students that I've never talked to, or, haven't talked to too much, or just random kids at our school. Or when I coach as well, and I'll go to other schools and have people recognize me. But to be able to, create, these just cool bonds with people that I've met through the app, in my classroom as well. One of the things that I do that's been big for, about a year now is having my students tell me what to order for lunch, and then I eat a given grade. And some of the things that, the connections that I've had with those students have been amazing. Same thing with their parents. It's been a really cool way. And I know of a lot of other teachers who feel the exact same way, that they feel like they're able to connect more with their students because of social media through different, the presence that they have. I've been able to do a lot of cool things, working with amazing people, working with the Seattle Seahawks for fundraisers that we've done to bring shoes for kids for back to school who can't afford them. Been able to work with the Premier Lacrosse League. I got to meet my idol. I'm a head lacrosse coach now, but he was the person I got to meet. His name's Paul Rabel, and it was just a dream come true. I think a lot of things that's getting lost a little bit is, and we talked about it a little briefly, but financial freedom for creators. Teachers, we do not make a lot of money at all. And it's actually, teaching has actually become my side hustle, because I make more on social media than I do as a teacher. That's kind of a sad reality, but it's been able to give us the ability for, to pay for my wife, who's right here working on a puzzle, to go to grad school in social work. So we've been able to do things like that to help grow with our family, to help provide. We have 2 kids and provide for them. So I feel like I'm kind of a small example of that portion of TikTok, of where, yes, I try to cross post on YouTube and Instagram, but I felt a little seen when you guys were talking about Instagram and how different it is from TikTok. Like, I don't look at my comments on Instagram because it's just such a weird place. I feel like it's not as much as of a community until you actually get people who engage with your stories and stuff like that. I've had so many people reach out to me through TikTok, whether it's through, for education, for what to do, joining on lives. I think lives is one of the coolest ways to build communities. There's this kid who's now, I think he's maybe 22. I think he got on one of my lives when he was 17 and in high school. And he'll still reach out to me every once in a while, like saying Merry Christmas. I hope you and the family are doing well. And like just making really cool connections like that. Where I really don't feel like you make those on any other app that's really being used right now. So, so I know it's been really big for us in my family, and being able to do a lot of cool things in my community. And so, I'd be pretty heartbroken if TikTok, if anything happened. So it's been awesome just listening to this live, because I've been trying to be a lot more aware of what's going on. So this is really cool that you're doing this, Tiffany. And obviously when Jen messages me today and says, hey, we're doing this, when Jen calls, you answer. So I'm just excited to kind of be and try to do my part and what I can to help spread of what people can do. So.
There's so many amazing teacher accounts. Actually, Unlearn 16, Joe, is supposed to be on, I think, on Wednesday. Okay. When we're back here again with a whole nother group of viewers. Friends, I am going to ask you guys to engage with the live for a few minutes. We just kind of crossed into like a new time frame. And so I'm going to ask everybody to do the screen tapping thing. We're at almost 700,000 likes, so I would really appreciate it. And I'm going to ask you guys to share if you're new in the chat. We're going to try to get back up over 1,000 because that puts us in a different tier in the FYP. So if you guys can help us with that, I would appreciate it. We also have some new panelists that are joining right now, and I want to make sure we have a great audience for them. We've had about 75,000 viewers in the first 2 hours. We had 75,000 viewers. So it's been really great so far, and we've generated thousands and thousands and thousands of tweets, which is exactly what our goal is. And it's just spectacular. So I'm so grateful for you guys. There are so many amazing teacher accounts on here. Mm-hmm. So many amazing teacher accounts. And then there are a bunch of former teachers or people that have had teaching now as a side hustle. I was a teacher.
Oh, really?
I'm a music teacher.
That's awesome.
I work with special needs kids. That's my gig. And now it's a gig I do a couple days a week. And I do this a lot. And it's just, Ian Carroll's show. He was a history teacher. Mm-hmm. He was a high school history teacher before he became Ian Carroll and canceled his clothing. And there's just so many amazing teacher accounts. I follow a ton of them. I think they're spectacular. And we do a huge dishonor to every teacher in this country. How dare our government think the answer to teachers finding a way to fill in the gaps left by our education system's inability to pay them fairly, to require them to spend money on.
Because teaching is my passion. Right now, I don't plan on quitting teaching, but the pay has, it's tough. And so TikTok has allowed me to continue teaching and be able to have more financial freedom and not have to worry about it. Because, a lot of people ask me, would you ever quit teaching to be full-time content creator? And I don't want to do that because I love teaching. It's my passion. But, with pay, I'm already worried. If I can't get, some of that money and whatnot from TikTok, which allows me to continue teaching, do I have to find it somewhere else? Do me and my wife have to get, like you said, part-time jobs, working at a restaurant, or, something that I can do in my free time?
Everyone knows a teacher that works at a Bath and Body Works or a Walmart on the weekends, or they used to work at TGI Fridays till private equity ruined them.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know in here, I'm a private equity creator. All I do is talk about how they destroy small businesses. That's my platform. I advocate for saving small businesses and for fighting back and working with your government to change things. We're trying. But everyone knows a teacher that is filling that gap. And they're doing it while they're, oftentimes riding a bus grading papers between. There's just no reprieve. And I happen to be lucky enough to live in one of the states with the best teacher pay in the U.S. And every teacher I know has a second job because it also has the highest cost of living.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. I live out in Frederick County, Maryland, and every single teacher I know drives to Montgomery County because the pay is like 28% higher because it's where all of the politicians' kids go. All of the DC politicians live there, or Fairfax County. And so they drive 50 minutes in bad traffic towards DC because they get paid so much more there because the politicians' kids go there. But they don't make that happen for every teacher in the country. And that means that the teachers that should be loving our community are leaving our community to teach somewhere with more money. And then what happens is the teachers in Washington County come here because we're slightly higher than them. And like, it's just not right. It's not fair. And the teacher accounts, you can tell how much love there is. It's amazing. So I really I'm so glad you guys are here. So glad.
Yeah.
We're going to do a big group of introductions right now. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to move you in the little box. I'm going to bring over Tara Lynn, and then we're going to bring over Sevenkin Homestead and Gio, and then we have Pete Montzingo joining in just a few minutes. And James Lee will be joining us as well. I'm sorry, I'm watching text. I have all these phones going at once. I'm sorry, guys. I have so many people I'm communicating with tonight, and a regular stream of tweets or messages from TikTok telling me they're not selling to Elon Musk. So there's a lot going on. But that's why we're here. We want to get back up over 1,000 viewers. So guys, help us with that. And Tara Lynn, welcome to the big box. Not Tara.
Yeah, that'll just forever be our inside joke, Tiffany. And it's so good to see you. And hi to all the other creators. And hi to all the folks here. I know that you want us to share, what TikTok means to us and why we want to keep TikTok. Before I do, I just want to say that I personally believe that everyone here already knows the value of TikTok. And what I hope to accomplish by sharing my story is to encourage all of you to take these stories and talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to the people around you about why TikTok is so much more than just an app. Because when I went to DC many months ago with Tiffany to protest the TikTok ban, and I posted on Facebook about it, I posted on Instagram, and I posted on X, I got made fun of by my own followers, in a very cheeky way. But they were like, oh, I didn't know that you loved China so much. And I didn't know that you were a communist. And I didn't know that you don't care about protecting America. And I was absolutely shocked. So if you're here, I'm guessing you already know the value. But there are millions of people that we need to educate and help understand what TikTok actually is. You've heard from so many creators. Now I'm going to tell you kind of my story and what TikTok means to me. And as part of that, I also want you guys to appreciate the power that you have when, you go to X and you do the things that Tiffany is asking, where we tag Donald Trump and we implore him to do something to save the app. Because a lot of people really believe that that doesn't matter. What is it going to make a difference? Who cares? He's not really paying attention. Like, does it really work? Yes, it really works. And hopefully through my story, you guys will see that that is the case. And we're also trending on X right now as well. So, you have like real life evidence. Number 4, that's incredible.
We just climbed 4 spots. We're at number 7 on mine right now.
Okay, there you go.
We're up to number 3 a little bit ago, though. So, we just got to stay with it, guys. And we're going to do this all week long. We are not stopping. All week long, this is what we're doing.
Right, and there's no limit on how often you can tag Donald Trump. Nope. Do it every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, every morning. Just be relentless. bang the drum. So let me get into a little bit about who I am and why TikTok means a lot to me. Again, not to convince you, but so that you can carry these stories forward, because we need to educate so many others so that we can save this app. A couple years ago, I was sued by Jefferson County in Colorado, and my community wanted to take that piece of my property and make it into a public park. And the government was more than happy to help them do that because they were elected officials, and members of my community were getting really loud on social media, funny enough. They were getting loud on Facebook. They demanded that the government take my property, and the government did exactly that. Well, they filed a lawsuit anyway. They weren't necessarily successful in taking the entirety of my property because of social media. I came on TikTok and I was like, these are elected officials. The public has a right to know what they're up to. And they were taking my property in an unconstitutional way, along with many other issues. And so I got on here and I started making videos. And after my fourth video, it went viral. And overnight, I went from 0 to like 26,000 followers, which if you guys are on TikTok, I know some people really struggle, but even if you are struggling to grow your own following or even go viral, hopefully you have seen how other creators with the silliest post can go viral overnight. And you cannot do that on other apps. I have tried. They do not get the same traction. Again, not trying to convince you, but just showing kind of the power, the unique ability that this app has. So once I went viral and I had a platform, people were able to see what was happening to me because I was able to share information, and the algorithm was sending that out to people who cared about property rights, people who didn't want to see government overreach or injustice win yet again, and people who wanted to help. And something really powerful about this app is it allowed me to find the helpers, people who were willing to write emails, people who were willing to make a phone call, people who wanted to donate money, and people who just shared my content. That was incredibly powerful. And because of the noise that we made through TikTok, we were successful in not only grabbing the attention of the media, which is a very hard thing to do, you guys, believe it or not. It's hard to get the media's attention because they are, by and large, bought and paid for by politicians and political parties. And so if your story makes a certain political party look bad, you're going to have a hard time. But with social media, that kind of changes the whole dynamic. And so I got the attention of the media, but much more importantly, it really put a spotlight on the government, because all of a sudden, thousands of people from all over the world were outraged about the injustice that I was experiencing in my teeny tiny town in Colorado, where the government was trying to take my property. And that public pressure was so powerful in tipping the scales that I was able to go to the negotiating table with a lot of influence on how that conversation went, because I was no longer a single woman showing up fighting the government. I was a woman who came with a quote unquote army of social media advocates behind me. And that was so powerful that after I settled with the government, I began to use social media, primarily TikTok, to bang the drum, which is a phrase I use. Oh no, the jalapeno I had before I came up is hitting me.
Yes, you did.
But I was able to use TikTok to get loud and bang the drum for others. And, a lot of folks think it doesn't matter, if you share a post or you leave a comment or you write an email or you tag Donald Trump. Like, what does it matter? You guys, it is the difference that sometimes and quite often changes the outcome. I actually have a catchphrase now, and the catchphrase is bang the drum, change the outcome. And banging the drum is getting so darn loud that you cannot be ignored. And when one person does it and another person says, you know what, you're right, that's really messed up, I'm gonna bang the drum too, suddenly you've got a couple people doing that. And when you get thousands of people doing that, it is powerful. We changed the outcome of a property rights case in Austin, Texas, with the Moses Rose. They were under threat of eminent domain, and all they wanted.
That was the Alamo Bar, right?
Yeah.
I helped with that one. I remember I sent so many letters.
Yes. Thank you for doing that. It literally takes everybody just doing their part, whether it's a letter, whether it's tagging somebody or making a phone call. And because of us, he was able to settle for an amount that he was happy with. And his own lawyer thanked the social media advocacy in a statement that was released. We also helped a woman in Arizona. She was a quadriplegic woman. She is a quadriplegic woman. And unfortunately, she had her house bulldozed under false pretense given by a zoning department who promised her the ability to rezone her property after she bulldozed her house so that she could sell it. But as soon as that house was gone, they did a 180. They were like, oh no, it's going to be really hard to work with you. I don't think we can do the things that we promised you we would do. So we came on social media, we banged the drum, and 300 to 400 of us showed up in a virtual town hall from all over the world. Italy, New York, Texas, London, Africa, Mexico. We all showed up because we care about justice and we don't like it when the government oversteps. And a couple days later, they were on the telephone with her negotiating a deal, and she got paid within 2 weeks. Shortly after that, I was able to bang the drum again here in Colorado when some very shady things were happening from a parks department. We made the news. The Parks Department issued an apology. They implemented new policies and procedures. And then we helped bang the drum for a local family farm. And we were able to enact some new laws as a result of our advocacy on social media. And it is literally just as simple as sharing a post, leaving a comment, or flooding someone's page with outrage, saying this isn't right, I don't like what you're doing. Those collective voices hold weight. And that's what I hope you guys take away from the story that I'm sharing. Number one, I am one of many people where TikTok has changed their life. This is not just an app where people come to dance. This is not an app where people come to be lazy because they do not want to work. This is so much more. It is a virtual community where we, the people, drive the conversation and we create momentum and we create influence through our collective unity. TikTok is a force to be reckoned with. The government knows that, and that's part of the reason why they want to take it from us. It's about greed and control. But lastly, before I kind of hand it over, I know there are so many other creators here, and I am talking very fast to just kind of get through this so that you can hear from everyone else. I want you guys to believe that it makes a difference when you share, like, comment, repost, but especially when you go on X, which is kind of the current directive. We're going to triangulate our energy. We're going to triangulate on our strategy. We're going to go to X, create a profile if you don't have one, tag Donald Trump, and be belligerent about it. Seriously, do it 30 times, 300 times, do it every morning. Don't stop. There's nothing stopping you. The more relentless you are, the more powerful the effort becomes. And it truly does make a difference. I give you several different case studies for how we've changed the lives of people just through social media. So let's do it again. Let's save TikTok and let's get Donald Trump's attention. All right, guys, let's do it. And Tiffany, thank you so much, as always, for the opportunity to speak.
For being here, not Tara. For those of you guys, I'm going to give you an anecdote about the kind of community you build on TikTok. Because one, I was a huge fan of Tara Lynn, and I was going through my own legal battle with a big private equity firm that was trying to shut down my small business. That's what, I don't like the word radicalized, but radicalized me to start a channel fighting private equity that was hurting small businesses, healthcare systems, like doctor's offices, veterinary clinics. Like, that's what I do on here. And so I like would message her, but I wasn't cool enough to talk to her yet. It took a while. But eventually she and I met. She flew, like we would just talk on the phone because it's very hard when you're going through a really intense legal battle with a Goliath. I was fighting somebody that had $10 million to spend like it was nothing. And I was defending myself in court, literally. And I would call her and just have an emotional breakdown because unless you've been through it, you don't understand it. That's what brought me to TikTok. And she flew out to fight with me at the Capitol. Then my daughter got a scholarship to Catholic camp in the mountains of Colorado. And I couldn't take her because I had to work to pay my legal bills. And she ended up staying with Tara Lynn. Now my daughter is her biggest fan, and she's so much cooler than me. Why can't you be like Tara Lynn, Mom? She's so much cooler, Mom. But
She said you're Wonder Woman to her,
Like-
and I can't think of a higher compliment.
these are the communities we build. They don't just live here. They don't just live here.
Can I show you something real quick before I hand it over? Because now you've got me wanting to share something with everyone. Just bear with me, folks. I'm going to wipe this camera. But Tiffany, you said something really important, which is this does not just live here. I want you guys to see something. Do you see this?
No,
This is a wall of holiday.
We can't
Oh.
see you.
Okay,
There we go.
this is a wall of holiday cards from people on TikTok
Oh,
and Facebook. Yeah. It's a real thing, you guys. We build real community here. We make a real difference, and it has a lasting impact in real life in so many different ways. So I just had to share that because this is so special and it can't go away. We have to do everything we possibly can to save it.
oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna get all emotional, so I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna bring up Sevenkin Homestead, who I think is about to film a show about homesteading because of TikTok. But first, I'm going to do my thing. Everybody like the live. We're at almost 750,000 likes, or 750,000 likes, which is amazing. We are trending on X right now, so don't forget, it's time to go over there again. We have Pete Montsinko joining in just a few minutes. But we do need you guys to engage with the live, and please follow all of these creators and show them all the love you can. This is not easy to do. It's not easy to be brave. It's not easy to be bold. And it's also not easy to give up a night when you otherwise might need to be grading papers, or you might need to be taking care of your animals outside, or you might need to be helping a small business, or you might need to be doing a voiceover 2 boxes down, or you might need to be writing a really important article for Breaking Points News at the bottom, right? Like, this is not easy to do. And so for the creators that have put themselves on the line to do it, I'm so grateful you guys trust me enough to do this. I'm so grateful people trust me to manage these panels. And if you're new here, follow me too. I'd love for you to stick around, but follow them first. All right, I'm gonna hold on. We're moving into the big box. Welcome. I'm so excited about your show. I cannot wait. I am so excited.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. I tell you, I always go up after really hard acts to follow. So thank you so much for having me. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen any of my content, but my name's Jason, Sevenkin Homestead, and myself, my wife, and our 5 children, and also Carrie's mom, all live out here on our off-grid homestead, just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And we've been making videos about this subject since 2012. So that was a long time. And for 10 years, literally dozens of people would see them, like 12 to 24, like right around there. And I had a friend who told me, "Oh, you got to get on TikTok. Your videos would be perfect for TikTok and all of that jazz." And she kind of just dragged me over kicking and screaming because, I don't know how to dance. And I had all those same thoughts at the beginning. I'm not a dancer. I can barely sing and really only when I'm in the shower. And I'm old. So how is this going to work? And so I came over, started making some videos, and I think I was just making the same videos that I'd always made, and they were kind of a little bit humorous, but sort of showing people what my lifestyle was like. And one day somebody asked me from the, I think, 200 followers that I had here on on TikTok. Somebody asked me, what if you started showing us how to do it, right? Because one of the things about our content is we're like the mayors of poor. We don't really have any money. We never had any money. We did this with almost no resources to speak of, and we've created an amazing life for ourselves out here. And so this person asked me to show them how to do that from that viewpoint. And I was like, okay, awesome. And I made a video saying that I was going to do that. And the next, like 3 days later, I had 100,000 followers. And so people were really interested in that. So I started making series of these videos. And then it was 200, then 300, then 400. And within, I don't know, I think it was like right after the 7-month mark, we hit 500,000 followers, and now we're at, I think, 700,000 and something. And it all, what I realized from this experience was I was on all the other platforms. You know, what do they say? Facebook has like 3.5 billion people that use it monthly. And same with YouTube, and same with all the other ones. And I realized that population is not the same thing as community, right? Community your community is the people that you contribute to, and that contribute to you, and that exchange ideas and help and those things. And I realized that TikTok was the only place that I had actually ever been, whether digitally or in real life, where that was the focus. You know, the focus was how much could you help the people that you're talking to, and what can they contribute back to you, and everything else. And building these communities has just been absolutely amazing. And I think it'd be a real shame, because it's really one of the only places, like I said, digitally or otherwise, where you can actually create that. You know, you can't do that on Facebook. You can't do that on YouTube. You can't do that on any of these other platforms. In fact, on the other platforms, you get pigeonholed into like, you must be this, this, and this to be a part of that niche. And if you don't fit that, you never contact anybody.
I think that has a lot to do with their algorithms not being intuitive enough to help you bridge out of a niche. You can't be multifaceted on because their algorithms are just not intelligent enough. They're not. And like, right. My content is not one thing, right? I'm interviewing presidential candidates, which 4 people in these boxes right now have come onto my lives and interviewed presidential candidates. That's what I do. I have people access to government, right? Like, you've been there, Tara Lynn's been there, Jen's been there, James has been there, right? And like, at the same time, at least 3 people here have done a project with me on fighting private equity and healthcare or in small businesses. And then every random once in a while, I post a video about teaching kids music classes. And I have had at least one of those go viral in every subject. And other people just can't do it.
Yeah, it's really, it would be a loss that I don't think people have fully come to grips with the magnitude of yet, if we were to lose it. And I did a video right when the very first TikTok ban passed, and then it didn't get picked up by the Senate, where I was talking about how, because I come from a sales background, so I had observed something through this whole cycle of how we were being manipulated, and I kind of just laid it all out. And it's really interesting to me. I kind of compared it to the 5 stages of grief, right? And, you know, they deny they're going to do something, and then, you know, everybody gets angry about it, and then it's ultimately comes to acceptance. And I've seen so many videos, and I'm going to be honest, I've even written a script for a video saying goodbye, right? And as I got to the end of it, I realized that's not what I should be doing right now. You know, we should still be fighting and trying to salvage this thing that has brought so much good to so many people. my family, for example, we live out in the middle of nowhere. This is my connection to the world. And it's really interesting how my perspective has shifted since not just being on Facebook or YouTube, but actually having something that is a global community, and the perspective shift that goes along with that it's irreplaceable. So we have to do something. So every step that we can take in the direction of saving TikTok, I think, is effort that's well worth it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, I don't know how it came to be that you're recording a homesteading show now. I know how I found you. We were going to be doing an interview with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and we wanted to ask really hard questions of people that wanted land autonomy and agricultural autonomy and wanted to change things for the way that our agriculture was being managed. And I really wanted homesteaders there. And I found your account, and there were so many homestead accounts I could have chosen, and I fell so in love with your family. I was like, it has to be them. And I messaged you over and over again. I was like, please. I was commenting. I'm like, come on. And other people had messaged me back, and I'm like, no, I want this one. And I loved your comment.
I was honored, by the way.
Thank you. I literally it feels like you're bringing us into your family in your content. It's so warm and welcoming and just genuine, but also so factual and interesting. There's so much going on there, right? Is your TikTok channel why, or did it contribute at all to you getting the TV show you're recording now?
So through the years, we've had interest. People have hit us up. Hey, we want to do a show like this, or hey, we want to do a show like that. And in the last year on TikTok, it's been 2 or 3 times a month that has come up. And I've done, Zoom meetings with producers and that kind of stuff and everything since the TikTok popularity. But the one thing that I was never willing to do was give up the story, right? So they want to take the thing I hate about those shows is I don't need any help making myself look foolish. If you saw the Robert F. Kennedy live panel, I don't know what happened. I got so intimidated. I saw the number of people that were in
You did a great job.
were in there.
Don't let him tell you that. Don't listen.
Yeah. No,
It's available on my YouTube. Guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though, and I was very honored to have been a part of it, as even just being totally out of my wits. But what we decided to do, I actually met with a producer who was like, hey, I don't know that you'll ever find an opportunity to do this if you don't let go of the storytelling side of things, So we made a pilot episode, just my wife and I and our kids, and it ended up being a whirlwind. And so that particular producer is reviewing it now. And that is totally because of TikTok. For us, we've never had any money. We've done, in 12 years, building an entire homestead out, we've spent $45,000, right? So even the little amount of money that we make from TikTok is life-changing, I mean, it's like hitting the literal lottery, for us, because we've gotten our expenses so low that we can actually survive by just trying to help people to accomplish the same thing. And, so this kind of new chapter is a totally, I don't know what to expect, and maybe nothing will come of it. And if nothing comes of it, we'll just make more episodes ourselves, and put them out there, because it was a lot of fun. So
First of all, thank you for sharing so much with us, because obviously,
you're welcome.
I know you're busy, and I know homesteaders always have something to do, always. But
it's never boring.
It's a type of content that people are really craving right now. And I think a lot of people are worried about a lot of things and maybe want to be more self-sufficient. There's a lot of people out there that just want to control what's on their food, and a lot of people that want to control what's touching the things that they eat and drink. Want to be able to just know that they're taking care of their kids in a healthy way. And so I think your content is incredibly vital. And again, just another example of all of the kinds of content, like every single type of content we've had up here are people with millions of followers. And it's just, there's so many different ways, so many different audiences that are spoken to and through on TikTok. And it just doesn't work the same anywhere else. It just doesn't.
And you can have a full-on melting pot of all of those different people in on one channel. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. When I read my comments and what people believe and what people think, and the conversations that go on between other people that think differently, it's like, it's unreal. And it would be a real shame. Hey, thank you. It'd be a real shame if we lost that. So
I don't want you to go anywhere. I'm going to go to Sunny J and Gio. I'm also, and then I'm going to, but I'm going to ask if James, can you help me for 2 minutes? I have to walk to the house. I've gone 4.5 straight hours. I need to go to the bathroom. Normally I can make it. I've drank 3 bottles of water while I've been sitting here because I do it so I don't interrupt people because I have ADHD and my brain. Do this.
Okay. Yes. Let me moderate for. Let me get to a good spot here.
I really appreciate it because I know you're amazing at it and you've helped me before, and I really have to go to the bathroom. But first, Sunny J, welcome to the Big Box. You and I don't know each other, but I just looked up your content and it's amazing. We've never met. You got to unmute. We got to unmute you. So we've never met. She sent me a request. I'm so glad you're here. So tell everybody what brought you to TikTok, why you make content here, why you love it here, why you think we need to save it. And guys, we are coming up on 11 p.m. and that means it's time to start tweeting again. It's time to start beating the algorithm again. It's time to start liking again because we are trending on X right now. Remember, we are tagging Donald Trump. If you don't know his @ it's the top link in my bio. And we are telling him what we love about TikTok, why it matters to us, and why we need him to tell everybody how he's going to save it and when. Okay, we're trying to be polite. We're trying to tell him why it matters to our economy, why it matters to your small business, why it matters to your family, why it matters to your mental health, and then say, and we're counting on you to deliver on your promise to save it. But you got to tag him, and we're sending everyone to X to do that. We're going to start again in just a couple minutes. Sunny J, welcome.
Thank you so much. I've been on TikTok since 2018. But yeah, my name's Jade. I go by Sunny J Rays on here, and I actually was like spam liking the live, and I think I accidentally requested. But I'm all about this. Like, I have been really pushing to see big creators speak out about this because a lot of the time I see like, oh, it's been fun, you guys. Like, let's go, like, find me on other channels, when it's like, that's disheartening to see because you're inspiring other people to give up. And I mean, it's easy when you're hearing all of this, that it's going to be banned. It's going to be banned. Like, all these people thinking that it's already done, when we still have the ability to speak up and fight for it. So I'm very, very grateful that there are people like you, Tiffany, that are creating spaces for the creators like this to speak. So thank you. But yeah, I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie. I was not expecting to be on here, but I'm very grateful. And
you have an amazing platform. You have a lot of followers. Like, you have super fun content. Like why do you do it here on TikTok? What do you love about doing it here on TikTok? You don't have to be anything. There's no pretense here. We're a pretty welcoming community. And honestly, it doesn't matter what you say because it's not the wrong answer. And I'm just going to, before I run to the house, and I'm going to be watching from this phone from my other account, the most heartbreaking thing happened to me last night that builds off what you just said. I was talking to dozens of creators. I was randomly getting phone calls from Perez Hilton. I was like literally like organizing this thing, building a list of 60 people, organizing phone numbers, and somebody I love a lot, I truly love, that has a very large following, way bigger than me. I thought I could count on to be here, said they would be here. And then they messaged me back and they said they changed their mind. And I said, why? And they said, Because if you manage to save it, if all of you manage to save it, I don't want to lose followers for having helped by associating myself with Donald Trump. And I sat there for a minute and I could not believe what I was reading. And I was like, you would rather not help save it and risk losing your millions of followers than help us and worry someone's going to be mad at you if we manage to get it done? He's our president no matter what, and he's the only one that can save it. Nobody else can do it at this point.
Exactly. It's just separating it. Like
my heart. Like it made no sense. You're going to lose it if we don't fight for it. But we can win. We can save it. So help, because you're going to lose everything if we don't. It made no sense to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And like from my point of view, it's just like separating the two. Like it doesn't have to be political stance. It's just like this is our only way. Like this is the only way we have left. So we might as well take it while we can. But yeah, so I'm just super grateful that you've created the space, and I think that this will inspire more people and more creators to speak out about it, because if they see that other creators with a large following are deciding to see that, oh, these other creators are doing it too, maybe I should speak out about it too, so that other people that literally built me, like this platform is the reason for a lot of creators' success. They started here and they dispersed on other platforms. And so I have a hard time seeing that when it's like, this is the reason they are where they're at. So I just think if that's the reason, you should be fighting for it. But to get on, like with my story, I started creating hip hop.
And I'm going to run. James, you've got it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm watching.
Okay. But yeah, I just created hip hop. I'm a choreographer for hip hop dance, and that has been my dream. And I was reaching out to big artists, and I'd make a bunch of content. And while I was doing this, I was actually fueling planes. I was installing alarm systems. I've worked a lot of physical labor jobs, and I don't really show that side of me on TikTok because I've just decided that this is my platform for entertainment, and this is what I want to do, like following my dreams, and this is how I'm creating my dreams is on this app. But I would work 10-hour days, and I'd come on this app, and it'd be something that I would look forward to every night, to just dance and enjoy my time here on TikTok. And it got me through a lot of, like, dancing for me has helped a lot through certain mental health battles and anxiety, and it's a huge form of expression for a lot of people. And people say, oh, it's just a dancing TikTok app. Like when you dance, like you're moving your body and you're getting emotions out of your body that you might not want to hold on to. So it's really good for mental health, dancing in itself. So I'm a big advocate for that reason. But I actually had a big experience about a year ago, and I actually haven't spoke about this on my platform at all, but it truly shattered my beliefs on the healthcare system, mental health care system. I basically had an experience where I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks, and I was sent to the hospital, and I was actually wrongfully put in a psychiatric unit. And this unit was actually shut down because of the things that were going on inside it, thank goodness. But the things that I saw and the things that were being swept under the rug continuously just made me realize that I have a platform and I need to speak out about certain systems that are not going the way that we need them to. And this platform is a lot more than just an app. Like, we can come out here and create change and communicate with each other when there's things that are going wrong. And our government is for us. It should never be against us. And the fact that they're trying to take away something that we can come together and organize on and have a voice, and this is the only app that the US does not control. And having a voice on here and the fact that we can get information to spread so fast is so important, especially when it comes to mental health, physical health, any sort of organization or system that might be hurting people in some way. That needs to be recognized, especially when things are being pushed under the rug. And sometimes the only way to do that is to have platforms like these where people can speak out about it. And I basically had that experience, and it broke me for a long time. I won't go into deep detail about what I experienced because it was really, really dark, and it's hard for me to even go back there. But I got through it through TikTok. TikTok was what I came to for. I would look up videos on mental health and things that would help me, and I connected with videos on mental health, and I got a lot of information that I didn't get anywhere else. I was told that I would be stuck on medications for the rest of my life, and I was so fearful about it because before that I had never been diagnosed with a single thing, ever, nothing. And to be told that I had all of these problems with me after they had only just a couple weeks with me, and in the state that I was in after not sleeping for 2 weeks, anybody can start to hallucinate after not sleeping for 5 days. So for them to try and diagnose me in that kind of a state when I was in that state because I hadn't slept, it was a false diagnosis. And basically what happened was I questioned it. I was like, I don't know if I should be on medication. And I have been clean off medication for a whole entire year because I found people speaking out about their experiences with mental health and weaning off of their medications, whether that be I'm not going to tell anybody that they should do that because everybody has their own experience with it, and this is not advice, but I like to do things as natural as possible, and I think that it's really important to focus on what we put in our bodies and to be careful about that and to just focus on what God has given us, which comes from the earth and animals and whatever people like. I'm very an advocate for just doing things in a more natural way and focusing on what we consume. But I think that I've learned a lot about that here on TikTok and people speaking out about their experience with food and certain chemicals in food and what we can do to be more aware of what we're consuming. And I think that that's huge.
Next time I interview Bobby Kennedy, I'll have to have you on the health one. Because that's what we did when we were on together. There were several creators here and we asked hard questions about what's going to happen to the food supply. And now we're going to create accountability and I'm going to have him back on. So, we're going to need creators like you to do that.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean it.
No, I really appreciate your feedback. This is actually the first time I've spoken out about this. Yeah. So it means a lot.
I don't want you to feel like you look emotional, and I think we all should be. We're building a community here and we're trying to save it. But I don't want everybody to come in here. This is not a swan song. That is not what's happening here. Okay? I'm going to keep stressing that. I know you were on, I think, when I did the last interim, real breakdown, but
I've been here the whole time.
Trump spent his own money on his own lawyers, not campaign money, not PAC money, his own money on his personal lawyers to file an amicus brief with the Supreme Court, which is incredibly expensive. And in that brief, he said, I am going to fix it. I will save TikTok. We are not here because we have to convince him to do it. We are here because we have to create the accountability to make sure he does it immediately. That's all we're here for.
Exactly.
We want it done ASAP. And we don't want to do it by saying, oh, I don't trust you, so prove me wrong. There are plenty of people that would love to do that. That's not helpful. Instead, we're here to create accountability. He's our president. You don't like him? Create the accountability. You love him? Great. Show everybody he keeps his promises by creating the accountability. That's our job as citizens of all of our elected officials. And we need to do a better job of it. If you look at Congress, we all know that's true.
Exactly.
We have work to do. But all we have to do is stay on X all week long and tell him, Donald Trump, this is what TikTok means to me, and I am counting on you to deliver on your promise. Please tell me you're going to save TikTok and you're going to do it quickly. Or please, deliver on your promise to save TikTok. That's all we're doing. You don't have to like him to recognize he's going to be our president, or you could love him and he's going to be our president. And he is also, aside from one tiny sliver of a fraction of a possibility, the only chance we have, no matter what. And it was mentioned earlier that V and Aaron are both calling on people to email Congress. I have created the second link in my bio. It allows you to go and email your senators to support Markey's bill. But I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing that could accomplish is simply a release valve. And all that does is kick this can down the road 9 months so that 7.5 months from now, we're in the exact same position. And small businesses can't plan for the next holiday season. So we don't need this to become another bargaining chip the next time they're about to default on our government obligations and shut down. Because that's where it will happen, by the way. That's when it happens, is third quarter. So yes, do that. By all means, send those letters. I want you to. I made it accessible. But we don't want to wait 7 months. We want to do it right now. We don't want this anxiety. We don't want the stress for small businesses. We want a stable leadership team at TikTok that isn't afraid for their jobs. We want creators that aren't trying to figure out if they have to go back to whatever their dead-end job used to be before they learned that they could make a living doing something they love. So we're going to TikTok to tell Donald Trump we're going to X to tell Donald Trump why TikTok matters to us and what it means to us that he needs to deliver on his promises and that you're counting on him to do that. Now, that's it. You don't have to do anything else. Just that thing. And it's the top link in my bio if you guys need to do it. And I'm just like, Perez Hilton also just posted some videos you guys can use, because when you leave here, I hope every one of you goes to TikTok and makes a video and tells everybody else what to do. We don't want this to be one. And then I hope every one of you is back here Wednesday night, where we have a whole nother slate of creators and a bunch of these creators coming on again with even more creators and more followers. And I hope you guys help us get them here. So it's an emotional experience. It's hard on us, but this is not a swan song. This is an actionable moment where we can make a difference, and we're doing it right now.
Exactly. I'm super grateful that you've created this space to do this, and I think that if anybody takes away anything from this, is that I think the more that we speak out and the more that people realize that they have a voice and they can be heard, they'll start to do it.
Yep.
And it's just inspiring to see the ripple effect. And also, you kind of see it, like you were talking about the big media earlier and how they kind of inflict doubt and inflict fear. And you can see how that makes people give up and makes people question. And I think that people, if they saw it in the other way and they're like, oh, well, if I can inspire at least one person and create a ripple effect to have hope and push and fight for something that we believe in, which is our First Amendment right, which is a big deal. It's not just TikTok, it's huge. But if we can just inspire people to speak out, I think that's huge.
And I want to show you guys what's happening in real time right now. This is Bloomberg. TikTokers put hope in online campaign to get Trump to end U.S. ban. TikTok content creator Tiffany Cianci is doing all she can to persuade President-elect Donald Trump to save the popular social media. This is happening in real time right now, guys. Okay? You guys can go grab this article and start tweeting that at Donald Trump and say, we're counting on you, man. We trust you. Show us what you're going to do. You said you're going to do it. Prove it. We're here. Show everybody you actually keep your word. You told everyone. And if you're not a Donald Trump voter, which a lot of people in here are not Donald Trump voters, a lot of people might be. I myself was a Bobby Kennedy voter because I happen to know the guy. So I wanted to vote for him. And I'm in Maryland where it didn't matter. But not everybody got the choice, right? If you're not a Donald Trump voter, you should want this accountability. And he said he was going to treat people who didn't vote for him just as well or better than the people who did. So you can say, you said this, and I'm counting on you now to show me you're the guy that delivers. Show me by doing this. And if we're the ones screaming the loudest, if we're the ones drowning out everyone else, he's going to do it. And he's going to do it quickly. And that's what we need to do. Sunny, I'm going to move you to a small box if that's okay. And I'm going to bring Keo up. Also, your style of choreography reminds me of Priscilla Anderson, who's such a gifted choreographer. She went to high school with me. And you have an amazing style about you. It's so pretty.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's gorgeous. I love it. So I just wanted to give you that compliment because I was a dance major in school, and I think it's amazing. I was looking on my run through the snow and back at some of your videos. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, and it's nice to meet you all. I love seeing that you're all speaking out about this. It's huge.
Nice to meet you, Jade. Thank you so much for being brave and bold enough to come up in the big box. I know it's a lot, especially when you weren't planning on it.
Yeah.
So thank you. Gio,
What's going on?
it's getting weird. Part
Part
It's
infinity.
getting weird.
infinity.
Part infinity. Yeah. Listen, I just want to say, I forget her name. Was it Sunny?
Jade.
Jade? Okay. Yeah. She nailed something. She said something about like how there's a lot of big creators on the app that are basically just saying, well, all right, y'all, it was great. It's all over now. I'll see you guys later, because they know they can transfer, let's say, possibly their audience somewhere else, right?
Yep.
The same thing, I could be like, all right, y'all, and just transfer my audience somewhere else. But that's not what TikTok, like, if you really understand what TikTok is about, that's not what it's about. TikTok gives everybody a chance to be able to do something, right? Even if you have like 10,000 followers, you have 30,000 followers, you can make an income, right? You can get on the
They lowered
TikTok
it to
stuff.
5,000 now, I think.
They lowered it to 5,000, even better, right? It gives everybody like an opportunity. Before it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I think she nailed that, and I was like, heck yeah. I'm glad she said that, because it's like, that's really what it is. It's get on here and fight basically to the end. If it goes, then it's out of our hands and it goes. But kind of like fight to the end, do what you can do for the other creators that are coming up. Because I've talked to a lot of people that be like, man, you inspired me to make TikTok videos. I'm like, do it. Because I'll tell you what, my wife inspired me to make TikTok videos. I wasn't. I was the guy that was like dancing. Girl, I'm not dancing on TikTok. What are you talking about? I'm not doing that, right? but she was like, get on there and just like, because it was funny. It's like there's different pockets. And then once I found out there were different pockets of TikTok, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then 3 years later, bam, it's kind of insane. So I guess I'll just, y'all have said so much. I'm not sure what else I can add to that necessarily, except, you guys everybody on here is advocating to keep the app because it's important. So I'll just kind of tell my story. I played professional basketball for 10 years overseas. And when it was all done, I kind of had an identity crisis a little bit. I was kind of like, what am I going to do now? I've been playing basketball my whole life. This is what I know. What do I do now? Yeah. And I wanted to get into that. I knew I wanted to get into acting and stuff like that, but I was like, how do I do it? And then I was able to kind of stumble across TikTok. And what TikTok did for me is going into acting and things like that. TikTok allowed me to be as creative as I wanted to be on here and not have to rely on, are the producers going to tell you you're good enough? Are the casting directors going to tell you you're good enough? When I can come on here, build an audience, and the audience kind of watch and say, hey, we like your stuff. Whether or not they pick you for that show or that commercial, we enjoy your content. And it kind of gives, I don't know if a lot of people know this, a lot of actors don't really make it in the industry. There's a lot of actors that struggle. They don't make a lot of money. And I know a lot of actors on here, a lot of voice actors on here, they come on here and they're able to make some additional income, which takes the stress off of going and chasing that dream, because it's hard. It's not easy. And I know that's what it's done for me as well. And so that's kind of like my story with TikTok and why I think it's pretty important. A lot of people are gonna lose income on here. And money is not just like, oh, I made a lot of money off of TikTok, blah, 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 blah. Money is more like, it gives you options to be able to do what you want to do. It gives you options to be able to pursue what you want to pursue. And I hope people look at it like that and not look at it as like, oh, you're just mad because you're going to lose money. Not necessarily. You're going to lose options. And TikTok has given a lot of people options. So that's my spiel. I'll do whatever it takes with Tiffany. What I told you, I said, whatever you need from me, I'll do it in regards to helping out until the very end. And even then, even after, let's say, for example, I don't think we should let our government just slide on this bad boy. No. This is crazy.
Oh, no.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think we should let him slide. I don't even think it ends here. I don't even think this bill just like says, okay, ban TikTok. This could go on for years to come with other stuff that comes into play. So yeah, Tiffany, what do you need from me? I got you. So
Honestly, right now, this is what we need. And it sounds crazy, but we've sent 70,000 tweets tonight. I mean, I don't think they're all ours, but I think we were at 50,000 before they started talking about Elon buying it. 50,000 tweets is not a small thing. That is a massive thing. We've had 130,000 people in here tonight so far. And people are doing the work, and we have to keep it going. So, like, yes, we've had, 100,000 people come through this live. But every one of you has hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, except me. I think I have the lowest follower count here, which is so sad. I don't know how I keep ending up doing this, and I'm always the one with always the little creator. But every one of you has hundreds of thousands or millions of people that follow you. And so even if we only got 130,000 people in here tonight, which is an astronomical number on 2 days' notice, by the way, and the one on Wednesday is going to do even better, and the one on Friday is going to do even better, and that's why we have to keep coming back, especially because the news is going to start covering it, and that's going to feed more people, right? And the more it mounts, the more the news is going to look to Donald Trump and go, hey, have you seen this online initiative to get you to say you're going to save TikTok? And he's going to relent, and he's going to start talking about it. It doesn't happen in one blink. It doesn't happen in one effort. It happens when you layer and layer and layer the effort. And so when you get off here tonight, everybody make your video and go and tell your followers to do exactly what we've been doing here. It's not hard. It's not a heavy lift. It's exactly what we've been talking about all night long. This is not political. He's the president. Of the 4 possibilities to get this thing through, there's only one possibility that doesn't involve him, and it has the lowest likelihood of success. Every other possibility ends with him. Markey's new bill ends with Trump, no matter what. So I don't want to drag this out for months or years. We want to finish it. We want to protect it. We want to give people the certainty that they need. We want to give people the stability they need. And one of the people earlier today said it's unfortunate that these jobs lost aren't going to impact the economy. But that's not entirely true. First of all, every creator that makes more than $6,000 gets a 1099. Well, every creator gets a 1099. We won't show in the economic numbers, but 700,000 jobs in the United States every day are dependent on TikTok to stay employed by the small businesses that employ them because of TikTok. Those jobs will hit the economic reports, and we should be talking about that, right? Like, there are hundreds of thousands of people that get up every morning and have a job because of this app. There is a president that's about to be inaugurated that spent his own money to go to court to say he's going to fix it. All we have to do is make sure he does it immediately. That's our job. And we can do it without being disrespectful. We can do it without telling him our deepest feelings about who's president. We can do it without saying who we voted for. We can just say what TikTok means to us, and we can put TikTok first. That's all we have to do. That's all we have to do. And we have to say, TikTok makes me a better citizen in this country. It allows me to spend money. It allows me to pay taxes. It allows me to send my kids to better schools. It allows me to buy a new car I could never have hoped to buy. It might allow me to enter the real estate market like so many people have said tonight. TikTok makes me a better citizen. You promised you're going to save it. Tell me you're going to save TikTok on day one. That's all we have to do. And so we've just got to stay on it. We've got to make those videos. And we've got to come back here Wednesday. We've got to come back here Friday. Tomorrow night, I'm going to DC, where I'm going to meet with TikTok and a bunch of First Amendment advocates and the ACLU. And hopefully we're going to get even more information about everything that's going on behind closed doors, what the lobbyists are doing, what the new updates are from their meetings with Trump. And then Wednesday, we're going to have even more to talk about. For everyone in the comments that's saying Elon's about to buy it and CNN says so, no, they didn't. Everybody's retracting right now. Everybody. Elon Musk is not buying TikTok. He cannot buy TikTok because the FTC would never allow one monopoly to acquire another. That's why That's why Zuckerberg has been fighting so hard to get rid of it, because he knew he'd never be allowed to buy it. He would never be allowed because he already owns a monopoly. And so he could never acquire. When we have a segment of the economy that only has 3 or 4 players, one of them cannot acquire another. And he's already bought little ones, but he could never buy a super competitor like this. He knows it. That's why they fought so hard to get rid of it. So just know that these voices, we matter. And we're making a difference right now. Bloomberg is writing about us right now. Washington Post has been watching this all night. Thank you guys for being here. We're super happy to have you. And just because we say the mainstream media is twisting our words, it doesn't mean everybody. Just a lot of them. And we know you guys won't. That's what we have to do. We have to be back here Wednesday, we have to be back here Friday. We have to be ready for whatever the Supreme Court says. And even if they issue this day, and especially if they issue this day, that moment, if they issue this day, everything.
Yeah, beat the drum, make noise. I've seen, I guess, look at it like this. I've seen people. Here's an example. I got ADHD, so my mind get
Mine too.
But I look at it like this. In the beginning, when I was on this app, like when I first started 3 years ago, I was doing a lot of advocacy for. I wouldn't even say advocacy, but I was making videos for people that were wrongfully convicted. Right.
That's awesome.
And there was about 3 people that I was primarily focusing on, and those 3 people are out of prison not because of me per se. There's videos that I made that got millions and millions of views, but what it did was it got people to start talking about it, right? That's what beating the drum does. That's what making noise does. I personally don't care if you like Donald Trump. I personally don't care. It's not about that. It's just more about like, just make noise. In this country, that's how it is. If you make noise, things happen. That's just the way it is. If somebody's missing, make noise. They'll either get found or more media gets put on them. Same thing with this. Like, something could happen if people just make noise. So if it means just going and tweeting one time on X, let that one time be that. It means go on tweeting and spamming it. Just do that, but make a ton of noise. That's all it is. Everybody, I hope everybody gets there. All the large creators that didn't, let me say this, all the large creators that didn't want to come on here because they're scared about losing followers, you guys are weird, in my opinion. You're a little weird, in my opinion.
Super weird.
You're a little weird.
Yeah.
You're weird and
Logic doesn't logic, right?
Yourself.
Like, you would rather lose everything than risk losing 20,000 followers because you helped save it for everyone. It doesn't even, the math doesn't math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Kio, now that I know that you played a lot of basketball, which my big brother played for the Miami Hurricanes, and he's 6'7". My little brother is 6'4". And I'm guessing you are another person on this app that the app has lied to me and convinced me is of normal size. Are you very tall?
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, I thought so.